Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. We got our week 2 recap. So, it was really weird only having 4 matches this week. I don't know if I felt the same to you guys, but it felt like there were just no matches at all. So, it's going to be super nice when we look at next week and we got back to at least 6 for the next homestead. So, that will be nice. And then once we go to 4, I believe, we're getting to 7 matches on that day for Houston, and then week 5 we go back to the doubles with Seoul and Washington. If you guys haven't heard, the matches that were canceled in China have been moved to Seoul, so we're going to be seeing a lot of games in Seoul, which will be nice, very nice because the Korean fans are extremely um, invested. So it will be fun to see the hype that goes on in that homestead. But we're going to talk about week 2. We're going to talk about Philly. Couple of big takeaways from this event. Number one, still got to iron out some kinks Overwatch League. And I know it's not really an issue. It's not really like a lack of preparation or something else like that. But the technical difficulties were pretty ridiculous. We had, the chat was spamming at one point dislike, and they were just pumping up the dislikes on the stream, which, I mean, is stupid, but the fact that there were these technical difficulties and they took so long is like, it's not a great look. So other than that, it looked like a couple of like the stream issues got ironed out from week 1. I didn't really experience anything when I was watching the games, so hopefully they continue to get this stuff ironed out. And as we go forward with more and more homesteads, hopefully it'll be smoother and smoother. Because to me, it felt like I'm actually curious. So if you guys noticed this as well, or if you didn't, let me know in the comments. Did it seemed like there were less or there was more time in between like the matches, the rounds, everything. It seemed like there was just a really long time, and it almost threw off the flow of the games for me. So let me know if you thought the same way. um, but without further ado, takeaways from the matches, actually the players, because this is the important stuff. What was happening, which teams look good, which teams look bad. So of course the bad, we have to talk about Houston. So with Houston, I'm going to put a lot of the blame. I'm going to put a lot of it on the coaching staff because it was a team that looked disorganized, disinterested. They didn't look like they had a game plan, or looked like their game plan didn't work. And when it didn't work, they just kind of fell apart. It looked like they were lacking some energy, some in-game leadership. Flame came out and said he said that there was sickness running through the team, so that's part of the reason why they performed badly. For me, that's a weak excuse. You have 2 matches over 2 days. You played on 6 different maps. I understand it sucks when you have a cold or you have the flu, something like that. But if you can be out there playing, it's 6 maps. Would have been more if they had been competitive. But that kind of just a horrible effort. I mean, wow. It looked like a team that lacked shot calling. Like I said, there was no energy, there was no passion. It didn't look like they had an in-game leader. Muma, hydration, blase, everyone out there, they looked dejected. Looked like the communication was not even close to good. Looked like because they have thrown the 2 and then for a couple of maps they had repel in, so they had the 2 or 3 Korean players in to go with the English players, and boy, did it just not work. Um, I mean, Muma was shattering nothing time and time again. He was just throwing it into shields that were clearly there. They tried Brigida Lucio and just got absolutely pulled apart by Ononades. I don't know if they just expected Meko to eat all of the grenades, but it was horrible. It was just a pitiful showing, and I mean their homestead's coming up, so they better get their act together, be not sick, and actually play okay going forward because that was really bad. I thought Boston was really bad in week 1. This was probably worse. I mean, Florida's not that good. I'm sorry. They made Florida look good, and then Florida played against Philly, who's actually a good team, and it wasn't really close. So, wow, Houston, come on. First first performance of the year, and that's what you come up with. I mean, Houston and Dallas, the two teams that have a ton of fan support, they go through these changes in the first couple of seasons, and they just always disappoint. Um, come on, come on, I need more. That's just bad. Come on. So going from a negative, we're gonna go to a more positive. Chips have played really, really. Oh wait, he didn't play a single match. Interesting. Um, but I do have something positive to say about Philadelphia. They look really solid. They look like they've integrated their pieces well. I was surprised that Poco played every single map. I kind of figured they would do a rotation of him and Fury. Maybe they're just biding their time, and Fury's going to come in eventually. Um, but yeah, they looked really good. Sato looked much improved. It's only 1 week, but his Reinhardt play was looking a lot more clean than it had in the past. There was the one play on Anubis where he got out of position and he fed, and then he comes back and Philly just kind of brawls it out for a bit. He comes back and he wins that fight for him. Comes back with a big shatter, made some nice plays. So I thought it was a very solid day for Sato. Good to see that. Alarm looked really solid as well. So yeah, this should be a pretty scary team. I was surprised that we saw only Ivy. I was imagining Carpe on like 100% of maps, and then EQO and Ivy splitting some time. Um, and then Hisu has not gotten any playtime yet either. I don't even remember if he's of age. I think he is. Um, but it'll be interesting to see if they integrate them more, and then if we do see Chips on a certain map, or if he's only going to play if a certain meta develops, or yeah, I don't know. Um, but the Washington Philly game was really good, really competitive game. Washington just made a couple of those crucial errors, which I think that they will iron out. So I think there you definitely have positives for Philly and for Washington. For Florida, you're 1-1. You're plus minus 0 in maps, so that's not bad, especially considering the starts of the last 2 years. But they kind of got manhandled by Philly, so I don't know. I'm not sold on Florida. I wasn't super impressed with their tank line. I thought Cara Caravan Caravan, however you say his name, he didn't play very well. I thought he got handled by Sato. He was out of position a pretty good amount of the time. Their support line was okay. BQB made some nice plays on McCree, um, but they were just okay. They were okay for me. I think Florida looked about in the 15 spot. I think I'm feeling pretty good about where they are in my power rankings. Houston were out there looking like 19 or 20. Um, and then Washington, yeah, the talent's there. I think we pretty much got confirmation. They didn't have Lelouch because he has visa issues, so they'll only be better in my opinion when he comes back. And you have him playing with Elivote, but I think I'm going to do an analysis on the Houston games because there are a couple of things that really like just stared at my face when I was watching it, and things that it's not just like, oh, Muma fed or this happened or that happened. A couple more subtle things that I kind of want to point out for you guys. But yeah, the big things for me was Philly looks like they've integrated their pieces well, and they should be a top 8 team at least this season. They don't really have an excuse not to be. Florida's about what I expected. Houston, it was an abysmal showing. Texas, the state of Texas for Overwatch League had a very, very bad first 2 weeks. Lost all 4 of their matches combined. Um, and then Washington looks about where I would expect them to be. But yeah, this Washington team, they could make some noise depending on how they clean up their play. Because they really could have won that Philly game. It was there for the taking. Philly was better in clutch situations, and they made less mistakes with their ultimates. But otherwise, Washington was right there with them. So it was an interesting week. Like I said, it felt a little weird because there were only 4 games and we only saw 4 teams in action. Let me know if you guys agree with that. Let me know if there was any big takeaways for you guys. Because other than like Sato playing above the level I was expecting him, I wasn't really blown away by any player performances. Everyone was kind of where I expected them to be. Carpe pulled off some crazy stuff. Poco was really solid. The Washington DPS were really good. I was pleasantly surprised by Washington's backline too. Actually, they played well. So um, I think we got a couple of teams here that could really do something in the season. And then Houston, they've got to do some soul searching. I think this is, if they don't start to turn this around, I mean, this is it for the majority of the roster. Like I think the guys like Muma, Raucus, Linkser, even though he didn't play at all, he had a somewhat alarming tweet. He tweeted like because people were like, "Where's Linkser? Where's Linkser?" Because he's one of the most popular players in the team. He's got huge pop off potential. And he tweeted, "No, I'm not sick like some of the other players. I'm just bad." And when a player tweets something like that, it's never a good sign for me. We saw similar stuff with Effect, with Taimu. This wasn't as extreme, but I think he's feeling pretty down. And when DPS players feel down, man, does their performance take a hit. So it's going to be interesting to see what develops with that situation. Where the hell was Dante? Why was he not playing? Hydration and Blase both looked pretty weak, along with the rest of the team. But we'll see. A lot of development still left to happen. We got a ton of weeks left. It was an entertaining weekend. I wouldn't say I liked it more than week 1. We had a lot of not very close matchups. So um, week 3, we're going to see a decent amount of teams that we have yet to see. Actually, no, we don't. That's right, because we don't. It's another couple weeks before we see the Chinese teams. I believe it's week 5. Yeah, so we gotta wait all the way until March to see Chengdu, Guangzhou, Seoul, and Hangzhou. So also return of some San Francisco as well. But we will. We got Boston versus Houston. We'll see which team has really been the worst so far. Paris versus Washington will be really interesting too. So look forward to the prediction video moving forward. Like I said, let me know what you thought about the weekend. Did you like it a lot? You're a little underwhelmed? Um, any big takeaways for you guys? I'm interested to hear if anyone had anything different than me. So, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Again, leave a comment below with whatever you want to say. And I'll see you on Friday for predictions, and look for potentially a video on Tuesday or Wednesday with analysis. So, yeah, excited for that. Hope you guys have a tremendous week. I'll see you in the next one.